Klippet presenteras av Kalix Maskiner, Centus biluthyrning, Lindroths webbutik och Norrvakt.
Ja, välkommen till Vårat Gäng, en podd av och med Luleå Hockey. Och idag har vi med oss Brian O Neill. Welcome here, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, you started playing the first exhibition game last week against Boden. How was that?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a layoff, most guys haven't played in 3-4 months, so it's always good to get the first one under the belt. There weren't any injuries that I'm aware about, so I think for guys to get that rep in is important, and just another step in the process of getting ready for that first SHL game. And
also a break from doing all the hard practices that you do?
Yeah, that first week off ice was no joke, so glad that's over, but it definitely will help build a foundation for what we need to accomplish this year.
What do you think about Elo Nilsson's workouts, running up the skiing hill and doing all the stuff by the army base?
Yeah, I think I'm done for hills for a while, but yeah, that first Wednesday running up the hill for 45 minutes was a bit of a challenge. But like I said, I think it's important for that foundation for everyone in terms of an endurance standpoint, because we're going to need that come spring.
And then you have the team building aspect of it all, which I think is as important as the physical practice.
Yeah, I think whenever you're going through something that isn't so pleasant, that definitely is a bonding experience. All sorts of jobs have used that in the past. Obviously, the Navy SEALs come to mind. So anytime you get to do that with a group of guys, it'll definitely bring you closer together.
So what players impressed you on those kind of practices?
I mean, all the guys are in pretty good shape. Obviously, 10 and 23 are quite impressive with that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, but most of the guys, I think, did quite well, and I think they're used to that stuff. So they did pretty good, all of them.
Going back to that preseason game, you were paired with Omark and Bromé. What do you see in that line?
Yeah, all three players like to have the puck, which I think is a good thing. Definitely, some would say, I guess, similar players, but I don't think so as much. I mean, obviously, Limpon has his skill sets that everyone knows, and Bromé seems to be a little bit different, but obviously both of them are very good with the puck. So I think as long as you don't get stuck on the outside too much, I think we should be okay, but it's going to take time to get used to each other, because obviously some of us are going to have to make adjustments, playing with Limpon for the first time, Bromé for the first time, and that's going to take time.
I know that Linus was excited when you were signed. You have played against each other over the years. What have been your impressions of him during those seasons?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been impressed by him from watching from afar. Seeing him up close, it's about what I expected. He's better at certain things that impressed me. Just to give you an example, he's really good at making certain breakout passes to the middle, which will definitely help you create possession in the O zone. And then his ability to protect the puck in the O zone is probably maybe the best in Europe, and that's something I think is so underrated, because that's how you create offense. You got to be able to protect the puck, and he does that extremely well. So playing with a guy like that is it's a privilege.
And what kind of player do you want to be on this team?
Yeah, I mean, responsible. I'm older now, so I guess helping out where I can from a leadership perspective, taking some pressure away from some of the guys. I think that would be an asset to the team. And then being myself on the ice. I think that's the biggest thing when you go to a new team. You know, sometimes in the beginning you might not be yourself right away, and I think at this point in my career I'm comfortable enough. I know what type of player I am, so hopefully I'll get to my game early. And that type of player, I would say an intense player, skate a lot. I'll take chances when I think the time is right, but at the same time, I've always thought I've had a pretty good defensive conscience. So, yeah, I'm excited to get the opportunity to play with some really good players in this team, and it seems like a good group of guys.
And this is your first chance of playing in the SHL. What do you expect from the league, and what have you heard about it from before?
Yeah, I mean, everyone would consider it maybe the best league in Europe, maybe the second best league in the world. So I'm sure it'll be a challenge for me. Played against a lot of guys that have come from the SHL, and they're always very well prepared, very strong physically, good skaters. So I guess I expect a lot of that, and at the same time, I think that suits my game pretty well and something I'm looking forward to.
we're a team that relies pretty much on our tactics and the team staying together. What do you think about the tactics this early? Will it be much different from what you're used to?
In Finland for 6 years, very similar. Definitely you live on your tactics there. Everyone has to play the system, no shortcuts. So I'm very familiar with this type of system, and the same thing. And Evie Zug, Don Tangnes is a world-class coach, and he demanded a lot from a tactical perspective. So it's a situation I feel comfortable in. I guess some people would probably assume that I would just love to roam around out there and play all offense, but I think this type of system brings out the best in me, and something that I look forward to.
Mm-hmm. And if we go back to the preseason game against Boden, a Division 1 team, but still, what do you think about the atmosphere?
Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, hats off to them, too, because that's a tough situation for those kids. I mean, I had to play defense for most of the game, but for the whole 60 minutes, they gave a solid effort. They were physical. I have a lot of respect for that. That's not an easy situation to put yourself in, but it was a fun atmosphere, and hopefully they had a good time.
And also in the stands, there were like cheering, and it's good that you don't understand everything, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's helped me throughout my career a couple different times. Obviously, I'm not great in Finnish and didn't get off to a good start there, so I'm glad I couldn't read the newspapers. So I'm not sure what was said during the game recently, but I'm sure it was okay.
Yeah, it was okay. And also the atmosphere in Switzerland, there's a really good atmosphere in the arena with all the fans cheering and all that. How would you compare that to back home in North America?
It's way different. I mean, Switzerland, credit to those fans, they're pretty passionate. I expect a lot of the same in the SHL. Obviously, just having that brief experience in a preseason game was pretty special. I haven't seen too many preseason games like that. So, but yeah, Switzerland was awesome. Probably one of the best countries to play hockey in, and I'm sure Sweden's pretty close.
You came pretty early to Sweden to get adjusted and everything. What was the reason behind that?
Yeah, a couple different reasons. Obviously, I just want to get here and get acclimated as quickly as possible. I've made the mistake of showing up last minute a couple times during the year, and it seems like it always takes a couple weeks to get adjusted because I'm obviously coming from North America, and now we have a kid, so getting them as comfortable as possible, allow me to get to my routines as quickly as possible. So it was only a couple weeks early, and my wife got to go back to Finland as well, so it was a win-win.
And how big do you think it is for her to be able to have that family that close as they are now? Yeah,
we haven't been too close to family the last couple of years, so there was a big reason why we wanted to come up here. She's very comfortable up here, and like I said, the more comfortable she is, the more time I'll have to spend working on my game, my profession, which is important. And it's a tough job being a hockey wife. We're on the road a lot. There's a lot of sacrifices she makes, so making sure she's comfortable is really important to me.
And what have been your first impressions
of Luleå?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to Finland, or at least when I was in Helsinki. Just an awesome place to raise a family. And when I compare it to the U.S., it always, it's kind of sad because, there's so many things that Sweden prioritizes to make the family life easier. And, when you go back home, when I go back home to the U.S., I wish my country was a little bit more like that.
And in your career, you played 6 seasons in Finland with Jokerit in the KHL. How was that experience?
Yeah, like I said, a lot of travel, even more than Luleå is going to have to deal with. But I think the league at the time was one of the best outside the NHL. There was a lot of talent, and that core group in Jokerit stayed together for a while. So built a lot of lifelong friendships, and something I always cherish.
And you had a chance to play 2 Olympics in 2018 and 2022, I think. How was that?
Yeah, pretty cool. Obviously, the NHL players not going. That gave me a unique opportunity in getting to represent the U.S. in the first one. It was a normal Olympics. That was pretty special. But then again, anytime, even if it's a COVID year, going in 2022 and getting to see some of those young kids that are now playing in the NHL, that was pretty special and something I'll always remember. And we had a pretty good chance that year. So finished 7th twice, but still good memories.
And how is the atmosphere at the Olympics with the Olympic Village and all the other athletes and all of that?
2018 was awesome. There's just a buzz, right? You have the best of the best at what they do, and especially after they're done competing and they blow off some steam. You can see a different side of these kids. But, yeah, I mean, being in that environment for 3 weeks in 2018 and 2022, something I'll always remember.
And you've also played in Switzerland. How was that?
I mean, the first year we played in the Champions Hockey League, so we were on the road for 10 days, but you sleep in your own room every night for the most part, which is awesome, especially for having a young family, raising a young family. But the hockey is pretty darn good. I think obviously the 6 imports change has helped a lot, and they can maybe compete with Sweden now, but that organization, EV Zug, is a class organization, and I got to play with some really good players, and I got some really good coaching during my time there, and they treated me well.
And you're from North America, from the U.S. Can you tell me a little bit where you're from, what that area is like, and let's start there.
Yeah, I'm from Yardley, Pennsylvania. It's a small suburb outside of Philadelphia. I stayed there till I was 18 and then moved to Chicago to play in the USHL for 4 years. And then went to Yale University for 4 years to get my degree, and then turned pro after that. But yeah, where I'm from, Yardley, a very small town. I go back and visit once or twice a year in the summer when I have a chance, but haven't spent too much time there since I was 18.
So is the Flyers the team that everyone roots for? Is it Penguins? Or?
No, it's the Flyers. Ironically, my twin brother, I have a twin brother, he was a New Jersey Devils fan growing up, and that's the team I made my NHL debut for. I didn't help them too much. I wasn't very good during my tenure there, but I was a Flyers fan growing up, and my twin brother was a Devils fan.
So how was it growing up with a twin brother, always having someone there to compete with, I guess?
Definitely helps. Also helped our basement wasn't finished. It was just concrete, so we could play roller hockey quite a bit. Hockey's not too big where I'm from, but having that unfinished basement and obviously my twin brother there at all times to play with probably helped me a lot for my development, and it's one of those things you look back upon and say, oh, maybe that's why I was so fortunate with hockey.
So how did you get into hockey if hockey wasn't really a thing?
My dad and my grandpa were very inspired by the 74-75 Flyers, the Broad Street Bullies, where they bullied their way to 2 Stanley Cups. And my dad, they didn't have enough money. He was one of 7, and they just would play street hockey. And my dad always wanted to have his kids play ice hockey, so he got me into some figure skating and power skating, and one thing led to another. I started a little bit later than most kids, but I loved it. And my dad, I think it was a dream for him to see his kid pursue hockey and do well in hockey.
Did you do any other sports?
Yeah, I played everything. Soccer, baseball, basketball, lacrosse, golf. Up until I didn't specialize until I was 16 or 17. So I think that's important because you got to be a good athlete at the end of the day. Maybe I should have specialized a little bit earlier, but I think looking back upon it probably helped me, my development as an athlete, playing all different sports, and has carried me pretty far in pro hockey.
So what made you decide to go hockey?
I was probably the best at it compared to all the other sports, and just it's a passion I've always had. I love the game. I love watching the game. I love talking about the game. I love coming to the rink every day. It just fits me as a person.
So how was it the junior years before going to university?
Yeah, I mean, didn't really know what to expect. That was my first time away from home, first time playing really serious hockey. But I got off to a good start, which definitely helped, and I only had to play 1 year of junior and then went to Yale University, and they took care of me there, and I had a lot of guys that took me under their wing, some older guys that I'm still really friendly with today. So that's an experience where I probably grew up the most during those 4 years, 19 to 23.
It must be a pretty good system to be able to get a good education and also further yourself within your sport.
Yeah. You definitely have to make sacrifices academically. I can't put in the same amount of time that someone else would at Yale, but you take the right classes and do your best, and they're pretty fair about that. But yeah, it's a pretty unique situation where you can play high level hockey and at the same time get a really good degree. And I think it's something that everyone should consider pursuing because, like I said, off the ice, it definitely helped me grow as a person, and that experience probably changed me the most.
What did you study, and is that something that you might consider in the future?
I studied political science and economics, and no, that's not something I would consider in the future. It's one of those things where I wish I knew what I knew now before I made that decision of what I was going to pursue. Because to be honest, back then I really didn't have too many interests besides hockey or some other sports. But now I do have interests, and I would want to pursue other things. So I wish I had a do-over on that, but I don't get one.
What would you choose if you had a chance to go back?
That's a great question. I'm really into the mind, psychology. I don't know how good I would be at it, but it's something that's always fascinated me. Why people act the way they do. Why do they do certain things? That's always been something that fascinated me.
And also within a hockey group, I guess there's a lot of things that you can draw from or get curious about psychologically, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's 25 different personalities in our locker room, and this year we're actually working with a mental coach and had a conversation with him, and it's pretty interesting. And I don't think it's ever a bad thing, regardless of what your personality is. But I think it's important to be self-aware of what are your tendencies, what type of personality do you have. Maybe that could help you explain certain decisions you make, and maybe avoid some bad decisions in the future. So I think being self-aware about that is really important.
And how much is mental for a professional athlete?
I think it's, especially as you get older, obviously I'm not getting any younger, which isn't probably good from a physical standpoint. But I think mentally, if you still are hungry and you're motivated, you take a guy like Djokovic, he's done quite well into his late 30s. So I think physically, as long as you can hold on and stay disciplined, keep your body in shape, as long as the mind is there, I think everyone should have no problem playing later in life until you have a serious injury that might prevent you from doing so anymore. But the mental side of hockey is so important.
And how do you try to use your experience helping out younger kids on the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I'm 36, but I still feel like I'm still one of the young guys, just the way I am. But yeah, just trying to help them feel comfortable. I think that's the biggest thing. Young guys, the one thing I'll see a lot is just they lack confidence in certain situations where, I've seen them do it in practice, but once the game starts, it's like, oh, what's going on here? So just helping them get comfortable and keeping their confidence and gaining confidence, and reinforcing the good things they're doing out there. I think that goes a long way for a young kid, because I remember when I was 19, 20, 21, 22, you're insecure about a lot of different things. I mean, even when I was 27, 28, when I first got my opportunity in the NHL, I felt like I had imposter syndrome. You feel like you don't belong, you're not good enough. And a lot of people, not everyone, but most people are going to have those thoughts. And just, letting the kids know that's normal. You're going to be nervous. You're going to be insecure at times. But it's going to get better. Mm.
And what do you expect for yourself and for the team the upcoming season?
I mean, there's a lot of expectations. I think sometimes people, when they talk about that, it's almost a negative. But I love the fact that we have great expectations. You want to play at a place there's great expectations. Obviously, that comes with pressure. It seems like the community here, hockey community here, is really special, and it's a privilege to play for this club. And with that comes a lot of expectation and responsibility. But that's how you should want it. It's going to mean a lot if we do well this year, and that's a dream scenario for a player. So I look forward to these expectations. Obviously, things might not go well, and that is what it is. But that's pro sports.
Sounds good. It's been really nice getting to know you a little bit more, and hopefully we'll see you a lot more during the season.
All right. Thank you.